Hello, everybody. You're probably wondering who these two handsome men are at the bottom of the screen. I'll let them introduce themselves, but
They
Jared,
are
please.
really, really good looking gentlemen. I'm glad they're with us today.
Yeah, it's the kind of guys that you greet with a holy kiss, if you know what I'm saying.
Thought that's all you had
Not
on
sure
here.
what we got into.
So, obviously, if you've been watching the podcast, we've been doing some series on Colombia with the mission trip we took before Christmas. And I know the last couple ones have come out, but we decided to go ahead and bring the guys in from Meridian, Mississippi, and they're all members at Northcrest Baptist. And we'll let them introduce themselves, but they went down there with us and was a part of the grills and the whole experience. And I'll be excited for you to hear firsthand kind of what they got to see and experience, because with us running 5 different grills in 5 different areas, I was never around Gary. We weren't even on the same team or in the same area. And so a lot of the stories that Hayden and Tristan and I talked about the last couple episodes, these guys have totally different stories, because I mean, obviously when over 1,900 people give their life to Jesus, there's a whole lot of things that was going on for that to happen. So Beau, Gary, if you guys want to introduce yourself, and then probably just one of you want to start and kind of lay out, I'd say from beginning to end, what you've seen, what happened, really what the Lord showed you, how he moved in your heart. Just lay it all out, whatever you want.
Go ahead, Beau.
All right, so yeah, I'm Pastor Beau. I've been at Northcrest for a little over 5 years, almost 6 now. And but
I can't hear Beau.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Beau. You're good.
Yeah, so I've been going to Colombia for missions for about 14 years. So different place than where we went with Forgotten and the other partnerships there. But it was exciting because I was able to go with some of the other churches that we had planted in a different area, and they were able to join us as well. But yeah, my really heart is disciple making. And so I usually get to see the process after someone comes to know the Lord, help them get into the Word, how they study it, how they can make disciples and continue that growth after. But you can't make disciples if we don't first evangelize and see lives change first. So you got to have part of it. I say it's 2 parts of a coin, one side head, one side tail. So evangelism and discipleship go hand in hand. And so that's the other good thing about what we did is we're able to work alongside the local churches that, we come in, we help them, we help organize, but yet when we leave, the church is there and they're discipling all those people that gave their life to the Lord while we were there. And so that's the best way to do missions. So I was excited to be part of it.
Amen. And so you actually brought one of the church leaders that you've poured into for years out of Bogota. You were able to invite him and his family down and kind of just talk about, what you guys have done in Bogota and versus what happened in the area we were in, and kind of how did Pastor Nelson, how did that, like what he's seen, like kind of talk about the things he experienced and what happened kind of in your conversations with him.
Yeah, so the first thing, as soon as I heard about this and where it was going to be, the next step that we had for our churches was to begin going on mission trips, sending their people out. We send teams 2-3 times a year to come alongside the churches. It started with 1 in 2014, and now there's 6 established churches, and each of those established churches have their own mission site, like in the next city over where they're trying to plant the next church. And it's all good. God is blessing, God is working. Things are going great, but their next step was to start sending teams, sending groups out to other parts of Colombia or other parts of the world to be able to share the gospel. And so this is our first chance. As soon as I heard about it, I was like, hey, can I bring somebody else? Can I bring my translator, Andreas, because I know him and you guys are going to love him? And then can I invite Nelson, who's a pastor, to just see the vision, see if this is a place where the Lord is working, that he can send teams, and then also to take the same concept back to the churches we're working with. And so got the okay on both of those, told Nelson, and Nelson's like, I don't want to go. I want my whole family to come. And so we're able to have his whole family join us, him and his wife and his 2 sons both in college, both learning the English language. So they translated for us, which I didn't think we were going to be able to use them like that. I didn't know the Lord was blessing that much that they knew English to the point where they could translate. And so they were blessing on that as well. Nelson was moved by it. I got some exciting things to share on the back end of this that I'll give you, that you guys don't even know about yet, about what the Lord has done since. And then also Zadie, his wife, being able to see their kids translate and share the gospel with so many. She was moved by that to tears. Just the work that the Lord is doing in their lives and the ways that He is blessing. It's things that they're, as parents, they dreamed about, they prayed about, that their kids would be able to take the torch and be translators for the mission trips that we take. So they got to see that firsthand, how God is working.
Amen. Yeah, Mateo and Juan were, phenomenal. And it was interesting because when we first met them, they were timid. They're not like this, crazy personality. They're kind of shy guys. And you got all these crazy Americans down there, and we're talking about walking around the streets with grills and telling people about Jesus. And it was interesting because I was with Beau the first day, and we kind of didn't know what in the world was going on when we first started, because the pastor told us we were going to some kind of rehab program, and kind of explained when we first walked up there, we had no clue what was about to happen. And man, your first setting was literally where people would want to get married, I would think.
It was, yeah. Those that are familiar with grill walks, you set up in the middle of the city somewhere, and you just start gathering people together, telling them what we're doing, sharing the gospel. And then that's what I had in mind when we left the farm. And then as we're going, we're like, we're heading to a rehab facility, which is, they need the gospel. And then, so you're expecting it to just be like the terrible place. And then we set up, all the guys are overlooking the city. I'm trying to teach to them, trying to share the gospel with them, but I'm distracted by the view, the most beautiful view over Parada there could be. But man, those guys were intent. They were listening. They really wanted to hear what we had to say, and we were bringing the good news to them. So as I'm sharing the gospel, talking about my testimony and what the Lord has done in my life, they're getting the hot dogs ready, and then they line up, and then we start sharing the gospel as they're waiting for their food. And I think there were 17, 18 of them that gave their life as we were just sharing with them. Some of the guys didn't know really where they were, so we had to pass that on. They're still in that beginning phases of the rehab. Other guys, they were willing and ready to go. And then others, the Lord had already worked in their life because the director was a Christian. So he's been sharing the gospel. They've been going to chapel. It was just a great introduction to, especially to those in Colombia that had never been part of it before, to get to see how that works.
Amen. And then you found yourself preaching in the middle of a prison.
Yeah. We went from one place wide open everywhere, and then the next thing you know, it's locked in. And so we're going in again. It's a rehab place, people with addiction from everything from pornography and sexual to drugs, alcohol, and gaming, social media, whatever they could be addicted to. There's people in here like that. And so they kind of just set up in a circle, and I start kind of sharing my testimony in the round. I just keep kind of wandering around in a circle, and I turn one time, and one of the guys gets up and he starts just hugging us as we're trying to share the story. You just see the affliction that each of those guys were going through, or the ladies were going through. And then Jeremiah came up after, in the best way we could, shared the gospel, proclaimed it, asked if they wanted to receive it. And I think all of them stood up, and all of them wanted the Lord. It was just a movement of God again there as we shared.
Yeah, when they all raised their hands, I looked at you and Lane, and I was like, what the heck just happened? I didn't even know what to do after that.
Yeah.
I was like, seriously? So we kind of just went around the circle shaking hands. Of course, we couldn't speak to any of them, so I'm just shaking hands, and I'm excited and getting hugs. And then it was such a neat moment for me and SJ that was with us, for her to get to see God move like that. And so if you were to like something that like you'll never forget, like there were so many moments, and you know, me and Gary, we talked about this, and it's like, how do you digest all the things that happened in those 2 days? And I was even looking through pictures last night, and I'm like, crap, dude, I forgot about that. And oh man, I remember that person. And I bet there are certain things for me that happened that I will never ever be able to get out of my mind. And so for you, what is that? What would that memory be?
Man, I don't know. There's too many good ones. And when I got back, I was like, wait, telling our pastor about what was going on. I was like, I don't even know if I could put it into words. And he's like, you need to write it down somewhere because you're going to want to recall this. You're going to want to remember the day that the Lord moved in Colombia, moved while you were there, 2,000 souls being saved. That just doesn't happen.
Oh,
And so to write it down. But there's a couple. I remember one picture, the pastor that was organizing on the second day that I was with all day. He is sitting on top of all the Bibles, like on a throne almost, just overseeing. Like he's brought to tears just looking at all the people, the servants of God wearing white shirts in the city, and he's overlooking it, just throwing out Bibles one after another, handing them out. He's telling them how many hot dogs to cook, it's just looks like chaos, but the Lord is just moving and lives are being changed. I remember that picture. And then we lost some of our translators because of just different needs. And so we lost some of our translators, and the last spot we got to, it was just going to be me and then one translator amongst all these people. And we're trying to figure out how we're going to do this, how we're going to get the word out. We're just going to have to trust that those in Colombia knew what they were going to do. And then the Lord sent us a pastor, a wife, and 2 kids that all spoke English. And so they were able to translate for us on that last place. And that last place was so sweet. The people didn't just come, get a hot dog, and go back home. They were sitting there, hanging out the whole time we were there, inviting their people, telling people where to go. They were saying, there's a shut-in at this house. You need to walk over there and bring them some food. And a husband and wife, or 2 husbands get saved. They come by on a motorcycle. They get saved, grab 2 hot dogs for their wives. They go back. Their wives come walking up, and they say that their husbands got saved. They want to know what that means. So I'm starting to share with them. And I present the gospel, waiting for them. I said, would you like to respond to this? Would you like to know that you're going to heaven today? And she said, I just have one question before I answer that. She's like, I want that, but I want to ask this question. She said, why would you come to my city, my community with the gospel if you're from the United States? You have so many other things that you could be doing. Why would you be here? And I said, there's only one reason. His name is Jesus. He sent me here to tell you the good news, and he wants to change your life today. And so, I was able to lead them to the Lord. She was just blown. Her mind was blown that the Lord would work in such a way to bring somebody to tell her that good news. All the way from the United States, and how it all orchestrated together on that. So that's just a couple of the testimonies. I mean, there was multiple. There are so many people that were ready to receive the gospel. I'm not even done with my presentation, and they're looking at me like, yeah, I got it. Just tell me what I need to do. That's how they're ready, and how the Spirit was working. I'm giving you that. You could say whatever you wanted. The Lord was going to save lives that day.
Amen. You know, it's interesting because, you know, in a lot of ways, it was really neat to be able to tell people that, hey, from America, and we're down here, right? Like, obviously, God sent us. But I have found, even in the States, no matter where we're at, whether it's in Oklahoma or in other areas, you know, just the showing up on someone's door with the grill, people still are like, why the heck are you at my door? You know, and I think there's been such a time lapse of the church being absent in the world and not going and pursuing these people, that when the church shows up, people just don't know what to say about that. They're like, I'm just shocked you're here, you know, and I think that has become really something that has springboarded the grill walk forward in a way that we're now seeing it taken off all over. Is, you know, when the church shows up, lives gets changed. I mean, that's just the reality. And so, so Gary, I know you're kind of You ran solo. You weren't with. I don't think you had anyone with you. Did you had Cindy with you, right?
It had Cindy. So let me apologize first to Beau because I couldn't hear a word he was saying, so I didn't know whether to smile, laugh, or cry at his stories. But I'll have to go back and watch the podcast, I guess, and see what he had to say. So if I repeat what Beau said, it just tells you that it was good. Yeah. So we had Cindy, and I tell you what, I really appreciate Beau bringing Andreas, his interpreter in Bogota, and then of course Pastor Nelson and his family, because Juan was a big help to us in translating, and also we got to work with Pastor Nelson's wife. She was on our team, so it was really a blessing to be able to hang out with them. I had never been to Colombia before, and I know Beau's been there many times, but it was a blessing to me to get to know that family that he's worked with for so many years, and it was just really good.
So tell me about just your expectations going in. You know, obviously we had some delays getting started, but once we hit the ground running, kind of talk us through what happened on that.
Yeah, well, first of all, I got to carry my wife Cheryl with me, and we're kind of a team now in mission, so we about go everywhere the other one goes, and so it was a blessing to have her there. And I was thinking that this might be the trip that we both go to see Jesus, not return, and but
especially when one of your leaders are telling you we're either telling people about Jesus or you're leaving in a body bag.
that's exactly right. Yeah. So, but it was far beyond my expectations. I really don't know what I expected. I think I expected the worst because you hear the worst about that country, but the people there, they're so friendly and they were so receptive, and I'll talk about the churches in a minute, but just starting out, getting down there. Before we ever got down there, I was blessed because the team, with Floyd and his team, and Tristan and the other Tristan, the ones that came from Forgotten Ministries are already down there. So we was getting reports back before we ever left of people being saved. And it was just showing you that they were being so intentional about sharing the gospel with everybody. I mean, that's what was amazing. A cab driver pull up and they're going to share the gospel with him. If somebody bring a tool or somebody bring the hot dogs, and I mean, it was like the mission was to share the gospel, which isn't that the way every mission trip should be?
That's right.
And so that's what was happening. And because people were being intentional, people were being saved. And that's why almost 2,000 people got saved. But that was really encouraging to me. I mean, I've been around you guys now about 4 years from Forgotten Ministries, and just being able to see these younger guys grow the way they have is just amazing to me. And they all did a great job. And getting down there, we didn't have any problems getting down there. When we first started, I guess the first main event was that Thursday night when we got to meet with the church. That just blew me away of how many pastors and staff and lay people were there. I mean, just filled that church up where we were at. And from your message, about compassion to the training that I taught, I was just blown away by their eagerness to let's go out and do this.
Right.
I mean, they were so fired up. And so when me and Cheryl and our group went out doing the grill walks, I think almost every grill walk we did was just an old-fashioned grill walk. We didn't go to any prisons or any men's things. We just got on the streets and walked and cooked hot dogs and knocked on doors. And of course, people would line up, to get a hot dog. And so it was really just, I mean, it was the grassroots of grill walking. And so, but the first church that we worked with, I didn't know what to expect because, of course we had the training and felt like that went well, but I didn't really know, did they get it? Do they understand what we're going to be doing? And me and Cheryl finally figured out all we need to do is just step back. They got this thing. Man, they got on that grill. They started cooking hot dogs, and they had all the condiments and the trays to put them in and everything, and the way Colombians dress a hot dog, and they had
Right.
all that stuff, and I mean, they just went at it. And then everybody else of the church started just sharing the gospel with people, and it was just amazing, their eagerness to share the gospel, and people were just getting saved right and left. And then we'd go to another site, another church, and it'd be the same way. Every church that we worked with was that way. They were just so eager to do this, and I'm pretty sure they've never seen a grill walk before. But boy, they caught on really quick. And
Right.
and there was one church we went to that there was a lot of younger kids there, like maybe college age kids, and but some of them could speak some English, and got to talk to them a good bit, but just their compassion and love for people, and to share the gospel just blessed me.
Mm.
You know, when you go on a mission trip, you go and you expect to bless others, right? But so many times we're the ones that get blessed, and that's really what happened on this trip. We were so blessed just by working with the churches and the people of Colombia. The pastors that we work with, all of them are so gracious and hospitable, and Santiago, did a great job of getting it all together and making sure everything was right, and they wanted nothing but the best for us, and
Amen.
so they really blessed us, and I'm just so glad it was such a success that God blessed it the way He did.
So give me one of your stories of your one that really impacted you, because there was a lot. And
Yeah, it was a lot. I guess the greatest one was when Floyd brought the cow into Andreas's room.
Yeah, scared the crap out of me.
No,
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, explain the cow thing that's going on. Tell about the cow. I forgot.
Well,
about that.
at the farm we were staying at, there's one cow there, a milk cow, and so it has a rope on it. They tie it up different places from time to time, and Floyd got that thing and had him a couple people behind it pushing it, and ushered it into Jeremiah's room, and then he left there and went into Beau and Andreas's room. Oh man! No, there was a lot. There was a lot of great stories. There was a lot to me, the stories that stand out were the sad stories of people that didn't give their life to Christ,
Mm.
because several of them were into the drug world, and they couldn't give that up, because that's what supported their families, and
Yes.
it's just hard to leave somebody, there that they know they're lost, they know they need Jesus, and yet Satan has them just wrapped up in the world and what they think the world can offer them. And those were the sad stories. There was several at really every event that we went to. And we did a lot of, it wasn't just grill walks. I call them Jesus walks. We did a lot of Jesus walks. We just walked through parks and told people about Jesus, and those were good. In fact, that last day, you probably told this story. The greatest story to me was on that last day when we went into this little town that it was just a very poor town, and the little we had. You actually had led the four guys to the Lord there at the first street. We went down, and then went over to another street, and there was four people in the middle of the road, and I got to share the gospel with them, and they got saved, and we met this little lady that just was eating broth off of chicken feet. She had a little crock pot up there on her stove, and that's what she was eating. And but I know she was blessed with a little bit of money, and to her that was like $1,000,000. She went to the store and bought a tray of eggs and 2 bags of rice and some little chocolate they make hot chocolate out of, and came back and showed that to us, and just tickled to death. And then went and got juice, 2-liter bottles and cups, and brought us and was pouring us cups of juice. And that's, you just don't see that very often.
No.
But she was so blessed. But the other thing is is she was already happy where she was. You
Right.
know, she was happy, and her little house. She said, "Come here, my love. Let me show you my little house." And I
Mm,
went in there and looked, and her little bed was made up perfect. You know, even though she didn't have anything, what she had, she took care of. It was
mm,
neat. And but that, I mean, I just, it really broke my heart
mm.
to have to leave that area because I felt like we just scratched the surface. You know,
Oh
we
yeah.
didn't get to go down but two roads. You know, and it was just we could have stayed there for days, going down roads after road after road. You know, sharing the gospel, and so many people that we met expected to get to heaven because they're good people, and they are good
Mm,
people. But our goodness won't get us to heaven.
that's right.
And so many people that we talked to that we shared the gospel with after they said, "Yeah, I believe I'll go to heaven. You know, I'm a good person," and so many of them said, "You know, I've never heard that before."
Right.
And that's the that's the sad part. You're talking about the church, people not used to the church coming out to the door. You know, I think we failed as a church by not telling people how to get to heaven.
Right.
You know, and allowing people that to hear this false gospel that you just be a good person, treat people right, and God will take you to heaven.
That's right.
And so there's a lot of work there to be done. And I pray that we
Amen.
get to go back. And there's a lot of people that need Jesus, but it's not just. I really believe in Mark 16:15, where it says, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel." I mean, that's why we're there, right? Well, that's why we're in
Amen.
Colombia. But all the world includes Meridian, Mississippi. Includes Enid,
Right.
Oklahoma. And everywhere. So I was reminded so many times when I got back about the need just here. So a lot of people say I can't go, to a foreign country. Well, you don't have to. The need is
Right.
right outside our door.
Oh yeah.
There's people everywhere that need Jesus. And
Right.
so if we just do what God's called us to do, and we go and we share the gospel, God will bless that. And that's what He
Amen.
did, and that's what He did in Colombia.
Yeah, two
It's it.
things. Yeah, when we got back, we went to
Somebody
TJI.
translate what Beau's saying.
We went to TGI Fridays, and Gary led the lady to the Lord right there. That was sitting us. So
Yeah, in the airport.
yeah. And then number two is I went to this area about a year and a half ago and vacation there. So I got to just be a tourist, hang out, get to know the people. The area is beautiful. We took that cable car. We were going to park at the top at the village that Gary's talking about. And we were going to park there. We're like, our car probably will not be here if we take this car down to the bottom and then come back up. So we went to the bottom and went up. And we were just kind of taking in the sights and seeing what was going on. I knew the area was kind of rough, and it was kind of a redemption story to go back to that same area,
Mm,
see like 20, 25 people get saved in an hour. And
right.
I was hanging out while Hayden's getting a haircut, and I think Tristan was getting a haircut, and I was hanging out on the corner just watching people come and go. I mean, there was just so many people just
So
did
many.
not know the Lord, did not know the gospel, had no
Right.
idea when their life was going to end next, and just how much of a need it was just to be a blessing. And I think you guys already have a vision for next year of just being a blessing with Christmas gifts and other areas in that area. There's so much need.
Right. I think, that's one of the things that, when I came back, I told my wife, I said, if it wasn't for the mission that God's given us through Forgotten Ministries, the Harrians would be moving to Colombia.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that right now. Dude, there ain't no way I could walk away from seeing all that and not want more of it. But yet be broken by it. I mean, it was overwhelming. I mean, you let that soak in and you try to process that. I don't know how you don't end up in depression at some point, right?
Right.
And for me, it's like, okay, but the mission is to equip these churches, to mobilize these churches, to give them the equipment, to give them the tools that they need, and say, okay, guys, we've trained you, now keep on doing it. And if we can do that across the country of Colombia, then there's really, at some point, there's not another reason for us to go back to teach this, because the churches will just kind of be multiplying themselves on being able to do this, teaching other churches to do it. And I think that's, our goal, like Beau said, is next year is to now go back and train a larger region of Colombia and several other towns, more churches, more grills, more food. And I think that we're seeing kind of this, almost the beginning of a revival, if you want to call that, that's starting to take off. And I mean, it could change the country. I mean, when you're getting invited in, and they've already been invited already again to the military base to preach the gospel and feed soldiers, I mean, obviously God's doing something. So Beau, you said that there's something that's been happening kind of since all this. What's that look like?
Yeah, so as long as I've been going to Colombia, when I see somebody else go to Colombia, I'll Facebook friend them or I'll get connected with them. And so there's a lady that from the beginning when I started going, she's been going to the same area I went to, and now she's been in Pareda, but I didn't know she was going to Pareda. So when we got back, she was like, "That's my place. That's where I'm going." And she's working with one of the Baptist churches in that city. And she said, "We need help. There's not enough people coming to help the churches there." And so I was like, well, let me see what Nelson's thinking. And they've already partnered together, and Nelson's going to go with her, and we're going to partner with Santiago, get one of the grills and send that Baptist church out into it.
Come on.
That community. And so, I mean, it's just how the Lord's working. We knew this was a place. Nelson said, "Man, this is a place I want to send a team back to." We already have another girl from the States, another church from the States that's already going to this area. So yeah, we're orchestrating that now to figure out when in this new year that they'll all get together. So the second wave of grill walks in Pareda. So yeah, I mean, it's like only God can orchestrate these things and put it all together.
Oh man, it's. I feel like I live on this a little bit of a weird island where there's endless potential of what God can do. But when I see stuff like this, it's like my mind gets blown. It's like, whoa, dude, I totally undersold what God can do. And I'm just, now my mind's like, okay, where are we headed with all this? And how do we connect all this? And I know with Forgotten Ministries, we've been strategizing for the last 2 or 3 days on trying to figure out, okay, how do we go back? How do we bring state churches from the United States into these areas? How do we train churches we haven't trained? How do we partner with churches we've already trained? Like, this is kind of this big puzzle that we're putting together. And the more we're starting to see some of this unfold, it's not just Colombia that God's starting to move in. He's already setting up things for the DR and Nicaragua and other countries, that because of what God did in just this 2-day mission trip, it's now being communicated in other areas where they're like, we want this to come down. And I just, I sit back and think, it's like, man, Lord, where could this end up in 5 to 10 years? And I mean, we could see continents experiencing revivals in ways that, I mean, obviously God gets the glory for it.
Yeah, I've been Colombia for so long, and we'll see 25, 50, we'll see salvations all the time, but nothing like what we saw, nothing like the mobilization of the churches.
Amen.
And the many different places we went, and just seeing the favor of the Lord poured out on the people of Colombia.
Amen.
It was very moving.
So I'm going to give you guys a quick story. I met with one of my board members today. I haven't told Hayden this, and we were talking about some things, and they're part of a big company here in Oklahoma, and they just hired a new CEO or a manager that kind of helped run their big operation, and he's from New York. And anyways, long story short, he's been going through a season of some struggles. He just is going through a divorce of 25 years, right? And so he kind of reached out to my board member, was asking some just kind of help and guidance and different things from what it sounded like. And in the midst of that, he shared what God was doing in Colombia. And it got the guy super excited. He says, "I'm from Colombia." And he's like, "No way." And then he found out, well, where's this team working at? And he says, "Well, they're at Pareda." He says, "That's where my family, that's where I grew up." And he's like, "No way." So this guy's coming down to Enid to meet us, to talk about the ministry. he's going to get a whole lot of Jesus when he gets here. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's like God's working in ways that we can't yet even see, and how God's moving in Colombia, speaking to this guy's heart in New York that's from that area. The video guy that we were working with, Hollywood, how God moved in his life. And it's like there's so many layers that when God's involved in something, like he's working outside in so many people's lives that we have not yet even got to hear the testimony of how that's being played out. So Gary, if you could a dream list or a wish list, what do you want to see happen next?
Well, I would like to see us go back with those 5,000 Christmas presents
Come on!
sometime December next year, or this year rather, and take a bigger group. That's what I'd like to see. As we've come back and talked about it, I've had people already at our church, saying, "Man, I'd like to go with y'all next year." So I would like to see us carry more people, and even do more next year than we did this past time.
Yeah, I think we'll just do a little insert right here. So if anyone's looking to donate some money to buy 5,000 presents for Colombia, we'll take that donation to help out with that.
Yeah, for 10 cents a day, you can help.
And I love it, Gary, because you're right. I mean, I think going back and, again, the Christmas presents would obviously would light these kids up. They would be super jacked because they ain't getting no Christmas presents. But man, it's not the present that's going to make the real impact, but it opens the door, it opens the heart. And man, I'm telling you, you'd see a whole lot of people come to know Jesus. And
Sounds like there's a business owner that would probably get behind sponsoring those 5,000 Christmas presents in his hometown.
We do just need to find one of those guys somewhere out there in the United States that may listen to this podcast. Just a couple $1 million check would just kind of get us going through all of South America, maybe.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree.
You guys know any of those guys by chance that you might want to throw at us? Let us know.
Tell us there's one flying here. Come meet us. Hopefully he doesn't watch this.
So how do you think long term, and Beau, you can speak from the pastor's point of view, obviously, and this is one of the things I love about Northcrest. I mean, you guys are mission minded all across the board, and you're doing stuff locally. You're doing stuff Love Out Loud. You've got international things you are in place. But how do you see that this could possibly impact Northcrest, long term? What do you see that? How do you see that affecting you guys as a church overall?
Yeah, so I can just speak for Colombia for sure. Just I've always wanted to get into Bogota. Most of the work we do is outside of it, but there's a network of Baptist churches there. That I know the IMB is already there. And so I'm supposed to be there in March. I don't know, because our presidents keep fighting back and forth. And so I don't know how volatile it's going to be when one president says, I'm going to take your president. So I don't know about that.
Just fly to Panama and then drive across the border.
Yeah, I'm trying to network with them to tell them what we did, what the Lord did in Pareda, and see if they want to do something similar. And so it's just kind of getting the word out. And like you said, it doesn't have to be an ongoing thing as much as it has to be to come in, mobilize them, show them, train them, and then we move on to the next place. Every church that I work with, that I said, when you guys get done planning new churches, that's when we're done.
Amen.
If you've arrived, we're done.
Come on.
Our only goal is to come, partner alongside you, and continue to plant churches and see the lost saved. And when you think you've arrived, we'll go on to the next place. Amen. Or when the Lord just, when it's enough to where they've equipped enough, trained enough, and we can move on, because the world is wide open.
Amen.
Whether that's in the U.S. or international. So, and I think South America is prime. It's an easy place. It's an easy introduction for new missionaries to go, new people to go. A lot of people know a little bit of Spanish or a little bit of English, so the language barrier isn't as hard. And so just continuing to find those partnerships in South America, I think, is ideal.
Amen. And I wish Jake could have been on the podcast. He's another pastor there at Northcrest, but he has he's invested many years of his life and his family's life into the DR. And I know that that's something that's on the radar, that we're already looking at DR as a possibility to, again, establish a place to build grills, a place to go down and train churches. And you know, the thing that I love is that all these countries have everything we need to do it. It's not like we're trying to, you know, do some kind of new ministry where it's like, oh, we got to import all this stuff from the States, or we don't have this. It's metal, it's a grill, and it's a hot dog. And you can basically find that almost anywhere in the world. And so once you put it all together, it's just a matter of going to where the people are. And it don't matter where you go in the world, there's hungry people. You know, people are physically hungry, especially when you get into third world countries. And so, I mean, that's an easy sales pitch for a free hot dog. Even if you don't like hot dogs, if you're hungry, you'll probably end up eating a free hot dog. And so I love how that makes the gospel presentation just simple, because they're an open ear to whatever you're about to tell them. And so okay, well, guys, you got anything else you'd like to close with? Are you guys good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Well, hey, we want to first off thank you guys for going with us, and we're looking forward to podcast number 2, Colombia number 2 next year, to hear the update on what God did in 2026. I think, you know, the sky's the limit, honestly, with what God can do. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys to see where we end up with all this.
Amen.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, man, Hayden, you like to say anything really wise and important to us today in the podcast?
I'm a man of few words, so I'll keep it. I'll keep it for those of you that know me. I'll keep it very short. I'm ready, dude. Let's go back.
Got any passengers you'd like to take along with you this next time?
I do. I have to talk to my boss. You guys saw her in the last podcast.
Oh, that's right. We had her in the last podcast, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
She seems to be someone that's going to be coming around a lot more.
She's she's
Not if she gets
quiet.
smart.
That's when she has a blind spot. That's what they say, right? They say love is blind, and that works in my favor. So, but yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Tell everyone down there we said hi. We love them, and we'll be talking to you guys soon.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya. Hey, thank you guys for watching the podcast today, and hopefully that's just another layer of, again, what happened in Colombia. I think, you know, we got a couple more guys we're going to get in a podcast about Colombia. We want to get Floyd in here. We're going to talk about the new launching of our new grill, which is really exciting. So we'll get that in the next podcast. But just be praying for us. Honestly, just really be praying for us. You know, all these things are exciting, but it takes a lot. And Paul talked about, you know, him pouring himself out as a drink offering. And I find myself often being poured out as a drink offering, and you know, to set up and to plan and to get all these pieces put together to go back down there. There's a lot of not only physical challenges but spiritual attacks that we go through, and I think, you know, for us it's worth it, no matter what it costs us, no matter how hard it is. The Bible calls us to lay down our life as a living sacrifice, and I'm willing to lay my life down as a living sacrifice because Jesus laid his life down for me. And you know, no matter how many countries we get to go to, it doesn't matter if it's the worst area, it doesn't matter where we're at, whether it's the United States or in another country, the mission, the goal for us will be that everyone hears about Jesus. And so that is the hope and what we get to see continue to unfold as we continue to put together all the things that God's going to be doing for 2026.
Amen. We'll keep you guys updated
Later. See ya.